Hello, my name is Alan Cummin. I'm one of the jurors for the 2020 Quebec Writers Federation Awards. I sat on the jury for the prize for children and young adult literature, won this year by Marie-Louise Gay for her stunning picture book, The Three Brothers, published by Groundwood Books. Marie-Louise Gay, it's a pleasure to speak with you. Many congratulations.
Well, thank you so much. I am absolutely thrilled to get this award and just knowing it's out there because it just came out a month ago. So it's all very exciting.
Well, what a great start for this book then. Um, as a writer and slash illustrator, you have something like, I understand, 60 books now to your name. You are no stranger to prizes and to honors. We could probably spend the rest of this interview just listing them all, but we're not going to do that. But I'll just say a few of them, include 3 Governor General's awards. You have the Vicki Metcalf Award for your body of work. You have nominations for the Hans Christian Andersen Award and the Astrid Lindgren Memorial Award. And even in this particular competition, 2 of your books made the shortlist, with Fern and Horn nominated along with the 3 brothers. So congratulations for all of that. But I'm guessing here that when you go into your workspace with an idea buzzing in your head, you're not thinking about awards. What are you thinking about?
Well, I think I can tell that you probably spend a lot of time writing too. So you know
I
that
have.
when, I know. So you know that when you get into your bubble, and I'm not talking about the bubbles we talk about now, but in your creative bubble, yeah, there's nothing from the outside world that gets in. You're really trying to tell a story, trying to put pictures to that story. What do I think about? I think about where the story is going. When I write, I don't think necessarily of the kids I'm writing for. That comes later on in my writing process. When I start doing the dialogues and all that, it's very important for me that the voice is a real child's voice or a child's way of seeing the world. But when I start working on a book, I'm just looking for those different paths that will bring me to the answer to my questions, because my stories are often questions that need to be answered.
And I think that's really evident in this book that we're going to talk about, The Three Brothers. I'd like to just take advantage of the technology here and look at some of your page spreads for this book, because they are remarkable. So here we are, The Three Brothers, Marie-Louise Gay. I'm going to go to the opening page here because you did such a lovely reading the other night at the online gala for these awards. And you read from this page beautifully. But I felt something was missing because I knew the book, and you have talked in other contexts, I believe, about reading a picture book, reading the pictures, how a picture book will be the adults reading the text and the kids will be reading the pictures. So I'd like you to just read this page for us and then read the pictures for us as well.
Every night, Finn reads a story to his brothers. The 3 brothers love adventure stories about animals living in dark forests, on top of high mountains, or deep in the jungle. When I grow up, said Finn, I want to be an explorer. I want to travel around the world to see wild animals. Me too, said Leo, the middle brother. But why wait? We could go on an expedition tomorrow. Yes, said Finn. Maybe we will see a bear or a fox or even a wolf. A wolf, said Leo. Imagine seeing a wolf. Uli, the smallest brother, just snored. He always fell asleep before the end of the story.
That's lovely. Now, what does a kid see when looking at this illustration that you've put up here?
Well, actually, every kid will see something different because we all have different ways of perceiving images. But what I'm hoping the kids will see is these 3 brothers who are sharing a book, of course, and are surrounded by animals or the spirits of animals or invisible animals? And where is that going? Is that part of the book? I want a kid to look at that and say, I want to find out what they're going to do on their expedition. And maybe do they have, I mean, for me, it's like questioning. Every spread is for the children to enjoy and to look at the details, but also to say what's going to happen next. And hopefully all these animals around this image where they are sitting under a light in a very comfortable space where you're reading, well, not Uli's not reading, but the two others. And I hope the kids will just want to say, well, are they going to go and really see these wild animals? And are those animals listening to the story? That's what I hope.
All of that seems to be going on. And I guess, you know, a picture book is designed to be read again and again and again. And it's one of the hallmarks of a great picture book like this one is that when you go back to the beginning, having read through it, there's suddenly more meaning to what we're hearing and what we're seeing. So you mentioned these animals being like spirits. One of the things that will occur to, I think, a lot of people as they read through is that maybe they're not spirits, maybe they're ghosts, because this book is about something very, very serious. About the question is where have the animals gone? And I want to know, how did you get that idea to have the animals here as spirits or ghosts? When did that come up in the process of figuring out this book?
Well, I would say that the way a book starts for me, it always starts visually. Okay, I sort of get a glimmer of an idea, and I'm thinking, wondering where it's going to go, but immediately I start drawing. So I didn't even have the story yet, but I knew that I wanted to do a winter book. I felt like doing that. I hadn't done that in a long time, and I wanted to explore nature, which I love, of course, and I love walking in the forest and looking for birds more than wild animals, but I thought it would be more exciting to look for wild animals than just birds for kids. And so the idea starts with these little sketches and these kids that are walking in a forest. And one of them I wrote down like this, do you think we're going to see a wolf? And then of course there's no animals in the story that I'm writing. So I started drawing animals, and then I thought, well, this is not going to go where I wanted to go, because I did not think that I would write a book about climate change or referring to climate change. I didn't know that, because I never know until I get to the end of the book. And I realized as I was writing it that this is part of what we're living right now, that things do disappear. And so I thought, okay, so I'm going to have no animals at all. But then I thought that would be a bit boring. And this is when I started putting in these, what I call invisible ghosts. I find that a bit scary to say it's ghost animals, but invisible animals, which if you look throughout the book, you will see animals hidden everywhere. I don't know if everybody sees them, if all the adults see them, but I think children will see them hidden in the tree trunks, hidden in rocks and the sky, and they're sort of invisible as in the first illustration. So it's like as if the world is still inhabited by our memories.
Thank you. I'm just going back to my screen share here to look at a couple more of these pictures. So here we have the ghost animals or the spirit animals or those hiding animals, the way you have set it up. I'm fascinated that you didn't have that central idea when you began this, because I love the way a lot of this book is just about three brothers out in the woods, kind of scaring each other and getting lost and having an adventure. But then it gets to this central issue. Tell me about this spread, because here we're not in the woods anymore. We've got sort of a sense of seeing things clearly. And what are we getting to here in the story?
Well, I think that we have to realize that in the pictures before this, they are in the forest, and we always see in the very far background their houses, the farm where they came from. So they're actually not moving around that much because the kids are alone. So I'm not going to send them, to the end of the world. So they're almost in their backyard. But there happens to be this little hill near the forest in their backyard, and this is where they climb up. And of course, for kids going up a hill, it changes the perspective completely. And even if the hill is very, very small, they do see the world from there because they are all of a sudden very tall. But it comes to a culmination of their impression of seeing the world as they have climbed up there. And a moment of, I guess, everybody, you climb up a hill and you get up there and you start thinking about things. You start talking about things. And this is where their conversation starts. And for me, what was very important was to have them talking together about questioning the fact that they didn't see any animals. By the way, if we look at this picture, if you look at the very bottom of the picture, you have 3 animals. Can you see them? The transparent animals that are there. There's a fox, there's a bear, and an orignal, which I don't know in English. A moose, maybe? Is that what it's called in English? With yeah, I guess it's an orignal. Okay, and they're all there watching them. So they have just left the forest, but not really, because they're just on that little hill. And they start thinking about the fact that they didn't see any animals and start trying to answer the questions, but it stays at the level of the children. I did not want to do a book that would give you a recipe about talking about climate change with children. I wanted the children to talk about it with the information that they had. And children pick up information all over the place, from their parents, from their teachers, from, I don't know, looking at screens or whatever. They have impressions, and then they make up their mind, or they try to find answers to those questions. And so these conversations that they have, these kids together, and I would say especially the older ones, Finn and Leo, since Uli always has something other on his mind, like getting lost or pretending to be a bear. So he provides like the humor of the smaller child that's discovering the world, but he's listening still.
You take just such care with all of the characters, and I just want to focus in on this little bit of dialogue here. I don't know, said Finn. We have this central question of where the animals have gone. Grandpa said that people are trying to fix the weather. How will they do that? Asked Leo. Nobody can switch off the sun or stop the ocean from flooding. I don't know, but there must be a way, said Finn. And that's where you get to in this book, on the conversation of what to do about this enormous problem that the whole planet is facing. And it moves on, the story moves on, certainly back to the kids and their adventure. Did you have to wrestle with yourself to not say more at that point? Or what was the struggle there?
God, you really guessed it, because that was a big struggle, because you can go one way and like this book started about when there was that huge march in Montreal, where there was like I don't know, I think we were 1 million people marching in the street for the planet. So many people were there with their kids. And I was thinking about that a lot when I was getting into this story. When I finally got into the story, is that, like what do kids get from everything that's going around them? And so, you really want to, in a way, you want to explain it to them, but I think that they have to do part of the way of thinking about it. Kids will listen to a problem and they'll try to find a solution, which is what they do in this book. They find their personal solution. And is it the real solution for them? Yes. So the idea is, do I interfere with what the conversation they're having? Because it's a very simple conversation. Nobody can switch off the sun. Well, that is very true. There's nobody that can switch off the sun, and nobody can stop the ocean from flooding. It's all true. So what do you do about it? Well, most people don't really know what to do about that. We really don't. Yes, of course, we know we have to stop producing. I'm not going to give you all the answers to that, but we know that we can't continue the way we are anymore. But I didn't want to talk about how we couldn't do that. I wanted to leave that open and see what kind of solution the kids would find.
Another thing I love about it is that you have set up this conversation between, you know, the parent or whoever's the adult who's reading this and the kid who is reading the pictures. You've asked the question, you have, you know, brought in some interesting things to think about, and then you have left it open for that conversation to continue. And I think that's just one of the priceless things about such a great picture book when it's working well like this, is that it opens this conversation up.
Yes, I think that's very, very important. And I also would like us to picture what this book would have been if those kids were walking with a parent or their grandfather in the woods.
Mm-hmm.
And the kid would turn and say to the grandfather, instead of his brother, would say, well, you know, what are we going to do? And then what would the grandfather or the parent say? They would start explaining it in a very adult-like way. So it becomes a completely different type of book where we take away all the power of questioning, of imagination from the children, and the adult gives an answer. And I mean, that's fine. I mean, there's books like that, but I want to, and I always have seen books in that way, is that I want to give that power to the children. I want them to perceive the world with their eyes. And it's a bit like my Stella and Sam books. It's the same thing. There's no parents to explain everything. The kids find their own explanations.
Marie-Louise Gay, congratulations again. It's been such a pleasure talking with you. I feel like I have many more questions about the book, but we've just started this conversation, and I urge people to go out and get this book and read it with their kids. The book is very much for sale. As a sponsor of this year's prizes, Montreal's Paragraph Bookstore has a special section on their website dedicated to the QWF Literary Awards, with all titles available at discount. So please visit www.paragraphbooks.com to place your order and to find out more about other winners of this year's QWF Literary Awards. Please visit qwf.org. I'm Alan Cummin on behalf of other jury members for this award, Shantae Grant and Dina Smith. Congratulations again to Marie-Louise Gay, and thanks to all of you out there for watching.